Hey everyone, I'm Richard, this is Grey Wizard Gaming, and today I'm talking about how to win Journeys in Middle-earth. This is my initial thoughts. I may have another follow-up video after I get further through the campaigns. There's now 2 campaigns out, one free downloadable, and then one that comes with the software. So that's a lot of gameplay, and I can't say that I know every strategy for every scenario, but I have core strategies that should work throughout the entire game. So first of all, strategy number 1. In the beginning, use the recommended professions and weapons gear. I don't know when or if it will ever make sense to change those out. I think with expansions, there may be more heroes, and with more heroes, it might make sense. But in the core game, Legolas has the highest agility. So why would you not make him the person that uses the great bow? It's an agility weapon. It just doesn't work when you swap these things around for the most part. If anybody can figure out like a better technique strategy, maybe they just want hard mode. I don't know. I mean, by all means, comment down below. But for standard mode, not like super crazy hard mode, follow the recommendations and you're going to have a much better time. Strategy number 2, understand your odds before you spend an action trying to do something. This is crucial because you need to make the right characters do the right things. Also, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you need to succeed when, if you look at the odds, you should know you're not going to. So part of that is understanding the core of your deck. So it's not really a deck building game, but you determine failure or success by pulling cards out of your personal deck. And right here, my Legolas, after spending a bunch of experience, I have, it looks like 16 cards. And I have 8 cards that I have to spend a resource, which I often do not have, in order to turn that into a success. I also have 4 successes and I have 4 blanks. So I have a 1 in 4 chance of having 1 success. Now, when I'm doing an agility check, I draw 4 cards. So that works. 4 cards, 1 in 4 chance of getting a success. That's great. On average, I should get 1 success every time that I pull an agility check. But wait, how many successes do I need? Well, it varies. For combat, 1 success may or may not be enough. Typically, it is not. For combat, on a great bow, 1 success does 2 damage. 2 successes does 5 damage. So you can see that even here, they have balanced the game, assuming that the minimum number of successes to actually get, I guess, reasonable results is 2. But I can only get 1 on average. Now, you manipulate it a little bit by scouting. Scouting lets you pull cards and put some cards on the bottom of your deck and leave some on the top. So scouting can really help give you more control over, hey, I know I have at least 1 success because I put it at the top. You can do those things, and definitely it should help. But in general, you're going to fail almost everything you do in this game unless you're either lucky, which I'm not, or if you really stack things in your favor and you really don't rely on a single success. You really want a multitude of successes, or you really want methods to stack up inspiration, because inspiration is how you turn these other cards, which you have a ton of, into success. Also, when you spend experience to gain new cards, keep in mind that those new cards are almost always blanks. So more blanks equals less good odds of succeeding. All right, so what about how many successes do you need for specific functions? Well, like I said, 2 is typically your minimum, but you also often work together. And I noticed a lot of players didn't seem to understand that that was what was going on, but anything that is, I think anything that you can do more than once, it is secretly in the software keeping track of how many successes you've drawn. And that means that you try once and you get 3 successes. And then somebody else tries once and they get 1 success, and now suddenly it says you're successful. It's not random. Secretly behind the scenes, it always knew you needed 4. And once the group reached 4, you succeeded. So you can use that in your calculations as far as like, well, I can make this happen by spending these many points. Also, you should know that in my experience, the majority of these group tasks are 4 if there is more than 1, like putting out fires, something like that. And I think it's more than 4. I don't really know what the exact number is because we haven't encountered enough of these to really know, but I'm pretty confident that there have been some that may be a multitude, like maybe number of players plus 2, something like that. So we play with 5, so maybe that was 7. I don't know, something like that. And we all had to work together and we all had to get some successes. And then at some point it just said, boom, you're done. So that's the 2 kind of objectives. Typically lifting a gate to move forward in the adventure, that's going to be like a multitude, like, hey, everyone work together. And then if it's like, well, you could possibly do this on your own, then it's going to be, in my experience, 4. And on the other hand, if you can only do it one time, catch a bird, I don't know, heal someone, that might be a 2 because you only get 1 shot and then it's gone. All right, now we're still staying in this one strategy because you also have to understand that each character has a different attribute value for each thing, right? So Legolas is might 2, wisdom 3, agility 4, spirit 2, wit 3. So that is the number of cards you draw. And like I said, with 16 cards, an agility of 4 means I have a 1 in 4 chance of success, of getting 1 success. But you can think spirit 2, that's a 1 in 8 chance. Or that's, I mean, I'm drawing 2 cards and there's 4. That's, I don't even know the odds right now, but it's low. I believe it's 1 in 8 of getting a success. So that means that you do not want to send Legolas to do something that requires spirit. But you often don't know because the software, you just do something and it says, hey, roll agility, roll spirits, roll might, whatever. Well, there's clues though, because this is really kind of a light computer-assisted role-playing game. So what you can do is if the action involves something heavy, like a statue, it's probably going to be might. It might be something else. If there's a trap on it, it might be wits. But they don't seem to really try to trick you. I don't think so. And because of that, they try to choreograph clues so that you can send the strong dwarf to do strong, heavy things. And meanwhile, the other skills like wisdom is magical stuff. It's also something you can use with barrels. So you can use wisdom to release the barrels to attack some other monster. So if you see barrels in a space like these barrels, you can activate them to attack things. Agility, dodging things, throwing things, avoiding hazard, catching fast moving animals. So there might be a bird with a note on it. Can you catch it? That kind of thing. Spirit is for resisting fear. So if you have to go to a dark cave, it might be spirit to not be afraid. not to take damage from despair. But also, if you're going into a cave, it's often going to be wits, because wits is being clever, hiding, disarming traps, things like that. So often you're going to send the person with the high wits who also has the high spirit, meaning the hobbit, into dark spaces because they're more likely to come out of it unscathed in some way. Also, wit, as part of being clever, is what you use to talk to people. So some of these scenarios involve you doing detective work and you've got to like talk to people and ask them questions. And if you do that, then you need high wit to, I guess, trick them into giving up the goods or whatever. All right. So that's enough on odds. You get this under control, you're really going to be ahead in this game. No doubt. All right. Strategy number 3 is don't go all in too early. So several times we thought we could kamikaze who we thought was the final boss or the final challenge. And then after we succeeded, we were spent and it was not the end. So what we really figured out is that unless it is the end, meaning if we don't succeed, the game is over. That's what I mean by the end. Not the end that you think, oh, if we open this door, we've won. No. It has to be very clear. Even if it's like objective, if you kill this guy, you won. They are not so nice about that sometimes, because sometimes when you kill them, they don't stay dead. So, I really literally mean you're about to lose the game. That's the only time you go all in. It is a balance. You definitely don't want to lose because you dragged your feet. You have to be willing to take some risks, but you should generally save yourself a lot of backups and not put everybody in one space, because that will kill you. Not say, well, it's okay if I die from the attack back because then the game will be over. Nope. The game will just be over and you won't even win. Just don't go all in. Don't go all in until the end. We had some climactic moments where the last pull of cards from the last player is what won us the campaign. And if we had not succeeded at that last moment, we would have failed that mission. So you have to go all in sometimes, but just don't do it early. Tip number 4, play defensively. And what I mean by that is when you scout, and scouting means you pull some cards from the stack and you're allowed to keep one of them out. And now suddenly that card is not just a success or failure, but it's also an ability, or more specifically, it's an ability. You will have a choice, 2 or 3 cards, and you're like, okay, one of these I can put out and the rest I can put on the top or the bottom of the deck. Okay? Often you will have some amazing cards for doing damage, for killing something, for helping you succeed on a challenge, whatever, I don't know. But given the choice between something that will heal you, something that will get you out of trouble, and something that will kill a monster, I would generally first choose the defensive card, the healing card, whatever. Once I have that, then I don't want more. I don't want 2 rest cards. 2 guard cards, probably. I mean, maybe, but I generally don't want 2 rest cards or 2 defensive cards. I want 1 defensive card, and then I want the cards that will help the mission succeed. Also, as you're playing, you're accruing these inspiration tokens, and like I said earlier, half the deck is inspiration symbols that you need to spend inspiration tokens to turn into successes. Don't spend those inspiration tokens too aggressively. You should save 1 or 2 so that you can win at a critical moment. So you can guarantee winning at a critical moment. So if you die, you have a last check to see if you lived. Well, you're probably going to fail unless you spend an inspiration token. At the last challenge, you might need to spend an inspiration token just to make sure you kill that last guy. Does that mean you took some damage earlier in the game? Maybe, probably. That's okay. You should be taking some damage throughout the game. You should not succeed every single challenge, the first 3 or 4 challenges, and then suddenly you lose the entire rest of the game. Because the important stuff is at the end of the game, not the beginning of the game. So that's just going to put you in a bad spot, and you're going to get frustrated. Like, man, I fail all the time. Well, you should kind of fail at things that don't matter. You want to succeed or control success on the important things. Okay. For me, that means after I get 1 or 2 inspiration tokens, I just spend them. I don't really care about them anymore. Again, because I just want to have my backup. All right. Tip number 5. Read the game clues and objectives. This is big, guys. You really want to pay attention to what the software is telling you. Because if the software says, oh, the spy is wounded. Well, that's a clue that you can use to try to figure out who the spy is. It might give you a clue like, oh, the goblins might be hiding in ruins. Well, then when you look at the map, those tiles were chosen intentionally. And that means they'll probably put goblins inside the ruins. That's how the game works. It's in a role-playing game. This is actually the most role-playing game of almost any board game, because you have to understand what is being painted to you in terms of the world, right? They're painting this descriptive world in the Lord of the Rings setting, Tolkien world, and if you ignore the text, you will lose. That actually applies to Mansions of Madness too. That actually applies to most of the Fantasy Flight games, software-driven board games. They have employed writers to actually have this kind of interactive fictional experience, and you need to pay attention to that stuff. It's not just fluff. It really is not just fluff. And that is the glory of this game. This game is super cool. It's super hard, like most co-op games are. And that paying attention to the details will give you little tidbits that turn this game from being like, oh, it's like a flip of the coin, who knows if you're going to succeed or fail, to being regularly successful. Reading the objective is really important, because a lot of times you're like, well, I really want to go here because I think there's treasure. Well, these games are written with a built-in timer. So they know that there is going to be 5 turns, 5 full rounds. That's it. And if you play well, you will earn an extra turn, let's say 6 rounds, 7 rounds maybe. And if you play badly, you will go down to like 3 rounds, and then it's just over. That might be a little short, but in general, that's the concept of these games. And so if you pursue the objective, you will unlock either the victory or you unlock additional turns. If you ignore the objective, the game may end up unnaturally fast, and it will feel like, well, I didn't even have time to search the caves or do whatever. Well, the caves were optional. So maybe the caves were like a distraction to try to make you lose. That's what it feels like. A lot of times it feels like if you try to do what you want to do, you will lose the game. You will just run out of time. And if you follow what the game is allowing, encouraging you to do, and maybe one player goes off to do something else, that's still hard, but you you want to pick up that extra magic item or whatever, but it's really like temptation, and it's kind of like, are you good enough to do both? And most of the time, at least our group is not. So pay attention to the objectives. Keep that as your guiding light. That's driving what you do and when you do it. And if you're ahead, yeah, maybe you can go search the caves or whatever. That's it. Short, I think. And I really like this game. I think this game is super cool. I like that there's already another campaign to play. And I like that there's another like purchasable thing coming out soon. All that stuff, just bonus. The game itself is already fun by itself. So I just I want like 10 heroes to choose from. That's what I want. I want to know what you think. Click like, click subscribe, comment down below. And with that, bye guys.
Turn around, I can't see your face. Tell me, where did you go? Was it something I did, something I said that made it all fall down? Baby, I need to know, 'cause I'm losing my faith. And the more I give, the less I get.